So I was asked to talk today about what sort of support's available at university, how you should protect your mental health at university, and about making the most of all of the wonderful opportunities that you get offered at university. So this is an awful lot to fit into 10 minutes, and I'm definitely not an expert. So I've got a list of resources at the end that might be useful for you to go have a look at. But I'm going to do my best to give you lots of information in the next 10 minutes. So a little bit about me. So this is me on the left. This is out with my dog walking on the moors above Sheffield. So Sheffield is home. And I did my undergraduate and my master's degree in math at the University of Cambridge. And I'm now a PhD student at the University of Bath. So what's my PhD in? So my PhD is in an area of maths called inverse problems. And I focus on inverse problems on imaging. The imaging bit doesn't mean, unfortunately, that I'm any good at taking photos. And in fact, I really can't take a selfie. I'm rubbish at it. But instead, my research looks at areas of imaging like medical imaging. And so this picture here is a sort of mock-up of a CT scanner. So this woman here is in this CT scanner. And in a CT scanner, what happens is they take images at lots and lots of different angles, okay, all the way around this donut shape that you can see there. They take images from lots of different angles. And the data that you get out of this CT scanner is like what's in the bottom left of this image. It's this noisy, it's this wavy sinogram. It's called a sinogram is the technical word for it. It's this wavy graph sort of data. And this is not very useful for doctors. Doctors would really like to see the image in the top left, this image which shows the heart and the lungs and everything, and they can make sense of that image. And the inverse problem, the bit of maths that I study, goes from this wavy sinogram and the bottom left and goes back to that nice image in the top left that the doctors can and the clinicians can make sense of. And there's lots of ways maths can help with this. Maths can make this process quicker. It can make this process more accurate as well. And so one good example of where you might need maths to help with imaging is that this person is alive and they're breathing and their heart is beating. So if you try and take a picture of something that's moving, you're likely to get blurriness in your data. Like when you try and take a picture of someone running or something, the image almost always ends up a bit blurry unless you've got a fancy camera. And so what maths can do is it can help make sure that we make the most of the data that we do have and we get the best possible image for the clinicians. So that's sort of the area of what my PhD is in. So I think maths is really cool. And there's lots of talks today and they're all telling you about why maths is really cool. But just a couple of reasons why I think maths is really exciting. So in the bottom left corner here, we've got a planet Earth. And with just a little bit more maths than you do at A-level, in A-level mechanics, you can start studying things like how planets move and interact. You can talk about satellites and how they orbit planets. You can talk about rockets and how if you use a multi-stage rocket, that the rocket starts accelerating as the stages fall away. Further on in your degree, you might study quantum mechanics, you might study cosmology, general relativity, special relativity, and you'll find out about things like what happens at the beginning of the universe and whether teleportation or time travel is possible. All sorts of really exciting things there. In the bottom right, we've got a coronavirus virus. We've obviously heard too much about this over the past year. With differential equations, so similar to what you do in maybe further maths, you can model how viruses spread and how they pass between person to person. You'll also be able to define precisely all of those buzzwords we've been hearing, like herd immunity, R number, exponential growth, things like that. So really useful stuff. In the top right, we've got this picture of the underground, and this really excited me, this picture. I've got friends studying how groups of particles sort of move and interact. So these groups of particles could be like fish, shoals of fish moving and escaping predators. They could be birds migrating. with those wonderful patterns, or commuters not bashing into each other on the tube. So all of these sorts of ideas on this slide really excite mathematicians and hopefully excite you too. So university is also really exciting. So these are pictures that I took quickly off my phone when I was writing this presentation. So there are so many clubs and societies that you can get involved with. If there isn't a society for your favourite hobby, then you can probably set one up. You'll find like-minded people and you can set one up. So I've been, top left is me rowing, top middle is me off walking with the Scout and Guide Club. I kept up my volunteering at university, and there's lots of volunteering opportunities for your university if that's something that you enjoy. And of course, I made lots of new friends, and so some of the pictures on here are with friends that I met at university and I'm still very close friends with now. So university is really exciting. There's so much to do and there's so much to choose from, and I recommend that you try lots of new things, which is brilliant. But university can be quite overwhelming. And it can be quite challenging. You've got to start juggling lots of things. You might have to learn to cook and how to clean and how to do your own washing. You're busy meeting new people, you're going on nights out, you're managing relationships. You could be homesick. Later on, you might get involved in societies, you might even start running societies. You might move out of university accommodation and have to deal with private landlords and bills and the Wi-Fi never working. You might want to travel over the summer or get jobs or internships. You might have a part-time job, or you might have caring responsibilities at university that you have to juggle around problem sheets and lectures and seminars and exams. So this slide isn't there to scare you. Learning all these things is brilliant life skills, but I want you to remember that university can be hard, and there will be points when you struggle, and that's okay. Mathematics is also hard. And there's a hard jump between school to university. So at university maths, there's much more of a focus on rigor and proof, and not just on doing lots of calculations again and again. So lots of your homework problems won't be stuff you can work out straight away or stuff that you can immediately see the right route, but you'll spend a lot of time stuck. There's also, as we've discussed today, there's lots more exciting maths that you can do at university, whole new topics that you haven't seen before. And this is really exciting, but it's also can be challenging to get your head around a whole new area and a whole new subject that you haven't done before. Another reason that maths at university can be particularly challenging is that you move maybe from being one of the top mathematicians at your school, in the top sets, getting 90%, etc. And then you move to university and suddenly everyone on your course is good at maths and loves maths, okay? And this is brilliant. When I got to university, I suddenly found so many people willing to talk maths with me, and I gained so much from working with other people. But it can be a bit of a change and it can shock some people. So in the last few slides, I've talked about potential challenges of university, and this is not to scare you, and you shouldn't be worrying about them now. I've told you this so that in a few years' time, when you're at university, you might be finding something challenging, and you can look back on this talk and realise that you're not alone, but that lots of students struggle with this. So one way that you can help yourself now is by choosing the right university. So Shami has talked a lot today about choosing a university, about choosing the right course for you, but also about choosing somewhere that's going to be home for the next 3 years. So this image on the right is the University of Bath with its beautiful lake. So I wandered around, I spoke to students, I found people friendly and welcoming. This was somewhere I could see myself living, and that's really important. On the left here, I've got this orchestra, and that's sort of to represent societies. So there might be things you really enjoy now, and then you can go and talk to those people when you go for open days. So if you love rock climbing, go and speak to the Mountaineering Society in open day. Are they friendly? Do they do lots of things? Is there spaces to rock climb near the university? You're going to try lots of new hobbies at university, but it's worth keeping hold of those hobbies that you already enjoy and they know brings you joy. And finally, and most importantly, in the middle, go and find out about what support is available at the university. So centrally in the university, there's likely to be wellbeing services, counselling services, mental health services, money advice services, study skills and disability services. If you get support at school, or if you're entitled to support, then go and talk to them, find out about what support they can give you. Departments are also likely to have peer support, so maybe upper year students that provide guidance on maybe on university life, on course choices, on problem sheets and things like that. They might have drop-ins, they might have personal tutors. So find out about what support is available, find out if current students think it's any good, and when you get to university, make sure you use the support that's available. It's there for you, so make the most of it. My sort of second to last slide reminds you that your university is your adventure. So it's about choosing what's right for you, a subject that you enjoy and is good for your future career. So pick a university that's going to support you. So my key word in this slide is you. Please don't compare yourself to others. If it takes you longer to complete a degree, if you need to be part-time, if you need to resit, if you need to access additional support, if you find out the university is not for you, if you decide to change topic, this is all fine. It's your life and it happens at your pace. And when you're at university and now, look after yourself. Remember, amongst all the exciting things that you're going to do, you need to eat and sleep. And remember to treat yourself nicely. Talk to yourself as you would a friend. So on my last slide, I've got lots of other places to look for resources. So maybe if people want to take a photo of this. So a few places like Mind and Young Minds and Nightline that provide sort of wellbeing and mental health support. The Money Advice Service talks about how you could manage money at university. And the last few at the bottom are specific books that are written for people moving from A-levels to university maths. The last one by Vicky Neal, she's an Oxford lecturer, is very recent and really good. Brilliant. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you enjoy your adventure.
Thank you so much, Margaret. That's absolutely incredible. I've just loved the pictures. Maybe when the lockdown lifts, I'll go visit Bath as well sometime. It's very tempted me now. But we have some questions. So the first one being, how did you find studying mathematics at University of Cambridge? I'm looking to pursue a maths undergraduate degree at Cambridge too. Cambridge maths degree has lots of the same topics and the same subjects as anywhere else. So the maths is the same. One thing that's different is that you have what's called, and the same as at Oxford, you have what's called supervisions or tutorials, where you there is normally one academic from a PhD student sort of upwards who sits down with 2 or 3 students and discusses problems and lectures. That's a great opportunity to have really in-depth conversations about the maths and the great way of learning. So that's one of the big differences between Cambridge and Oxford and maybe other courses is these supervisions. So that's something to look into. The Cambridge maths degree is very much a mathematics degree. There's not very many options to do courses with other things. So to do it maybe joint degrees, or to do lots of computer science and coding within the math degree. So you very much need to know that you want to do just maths if you go to Cambridge. Brilliant. But yes, it's a great so maybe I won't talk too much about being at Cambridge, and there's lots of open days and things like that. You can go talk to people who are current students. I'm a few years off being at Cambridge now. That's perfect. Thank you very much, Margaret. There's a few other questions if you want to finish answering them through text, that would be lovely.